Alright, should be going live, and hopefully it won't be a back loop. There won't be no back loop, and I can just get into some cozy chat, cozy idle chat. So let's see if this is actually working. Very good. Awesome. Awesome. It's going good. Hey there, complex technocrat. I already said hi to you in the chat, but how are you doing, man? Alright. I don't know how many more of these I'm going to do on YouTube before I just completely go over to Trovo. The only thing about Trovo is that I don't even know if it saves my past live streams. Or my past streams. And, oh, by the way, you'll never have to pay for what I do. For the foreseeable future, anyways. You know, if I do a really highly academic book review thing or something, maybe, but this is just idle chat. And it's completely free. Anyone can take whatever they want from it, and whatever. But yeah. So I wanted to talk about a guy that I knew from many, many years ago. In fact, we actually didn't really know each other. We never really spoke much. We actually didn't really speak on anything. We just kind of watched each other's videos, and we just kind of liked our content, and that was really it. There was virtually no correspondence between me and Mad Monarchist. So this is kind of the difference with the usual of like what I guess you could say this is kind of the big difference. I have never talked to this guy ever. Not on the phone, not in person, never. We just basically liked each other's videos, and I think he posted something in my channel feed a long time ago. I posted something on his, we just liked everything, and that was it. We never talked to each other ever again. So that is basically the entire scope of my personal correspondence with this guy, but I enjoyed reading a lot of stuff that he has left over the years. Now, he's been off the internet since 2018. His last post was Sayonara for Now, or something like that. So anyways, this is Mad Monarchist. And disclaimer, I don't agree with all of this man's views. I don't really consider myself a monarchist, or at least not so much a big staunch monarchist supporter like this guy. But he is from, I think he's from Texas. I don't remember if he was from New Mexico or from Texas, and that, by the way, that's about as much of a dox about this guy as I'm going to give. And the only reason I even say that is because, I just wanted to explain that there is some common ground and a mutual respectability we had in each other's material and stuff. So this guy basically, he did politically incorrect truths about Japan, about the Russian Revolution, the French Revolution, Japan in World War II, and he did like some videos on different royals and stuff, but it's really unfortunate that he actually did not really make a lot of blogs about American history, but that really wasn't his topic. He probably actually, in fact, did more on royalist Mexican history in Spain than he actually did with the United States. But Now, I don't know about now. He could have changed his perspective since then, but he used to be a Confederate supporter, I think. He used to be a respectable, old school, very gentlemanly Confederate lost cause sympathizer, but not neo-Confederate, because he's definitely not Republican. Now, there's a lot of models and ideas of his points of view that I can agree with. And actually, it was reading the Mad Monarchist that helped me a lot to come to a lot of conclusions that I found even before I knew about Southern Israelite, Eric John Phelps, various books about the NSDAP and the Confederacy and other stuff. That this was really probably the first time when I started to really, I guess you could say, really foment my entire outward perspective on how I saw the world and stuff. But yeah. He wrote some stuff about George Washington. I think he did one thing, possibly one thing about the Republic of Texas. I'm not 100% for sure about that. And then he might have done a total of about maybe 5 posts about the war between the states. And then that's really virtually it. That's like the only non-monarchy related stuff that he probably ever did. Basically, he overwhelmingly talked about monarchy and about monarchist, royalist kind of stuff. He kind of LARPs a lot too, and that's the sad thing. There is a monarchist party in the United States, but I don't think that he has any connections to any of it. He's just a guy that basically did, that loved royalty and loved monarchy. At least the idea and the concept of it has someone that lives in a republic, the United States of America. And I don't know how he became a monarchist. I think it just, his family were very traditional Catholics. And I guess through his religion, his theology and faith, he came to have his political sympathies and stuff. Actually, I think one of his grandparents championed a defense of the Spanish dictator Francisco Franco. Or at least that's what he said, and I think that was the beginning of his sympathies with monarchy. Either that, or he was just a very avid history reader, very staunch history and political reader, and then commentator. He even went to college and got a master's in some of this stuff. So he really knew a lot about what he was talking about, probably even more than me. Like, actually a lot of my interest in history, and I already had a pretty good interest in history before I even knew who this even was. But I think that it really helped a lot for me. So in a way, this guy, Mad Monarchist, really inspired and did a lot to help me come to many of the political viewpoints I'm at now. Even though, he is a Catholic convert to Eastern Orthodoxy or to Byzantine Rite Sedevacantist. I think he's Byzantine Rite Sedevacantist and Ultra Royalist or Ultra Monarchist. Whereas my views were kind of more in line with constitutional republics, kind of at that time, not now, but back then it was more in line with republicanism and Protestantism. Not so much really an ideology necessarily, but just kind of more in that. So I just wanted to go over some of the good things that I really enjoyed about his work. And then I'm going to talk about some of the bad stuff. So, yeah, I mean, no person's worldview or perspective, no individual or single individual's perspective on everything that's going in the world is going to be conceivable or large or encompassing enough to really, give credence or answers to everything that's going on in the world. So not everything that people say, regardless of their politics, is going to be 100% right. There's times when it's going to be very, very well put, very well built up and put on. And then other times it's just going to feel rather hollow, empty, and kind of vague, and just really not even getting to the point. It's just more of a philosophical jibber-jabber than just really giving an adequate theory to explain everything in a mathematical, deductive way. And really the sad truth is that most people that are on the right wing of things are generally not like that. Most people on the conservative side don't really tend to think very logically. They tend to think very emotional and kind of very in terms of like short patterns, emotional patterns that are not so deductive. It's not as bad as the left, but I have seen people on the right wing that do that also. And it's really a shame that politics has become so immature to the point where it's basically just turned into a UFC arena, and whoever has the most clout, or at least the most turnout, the most ability to get the audience's attention, is generally regarded as the best politician, and therefore is the best candidate to win the presidency. And that's really a shame that politics has really degenerated into that. Gone are the days of JFK, Ronald Reagan, etc., etc. We've come to the point where our politicians and the people that claim that they know how to run a government, or they know how to participate in the day-to-day administrations of government, claim that they know stuff, and they really don't. And in fact, sometimes they are the worst possible candidates for that. So you can criticize monarchy as much as you want, but my challenge to you is, are republics really that much better? And really, the United States is actually more of a is just basically an elected monarchy, kind of like the Vatican or the pontificate. And actually, the irony is that North Korea is closer to a classical republic than the United States is. The United States is actually more closer to a commonwealth type of government than a lot of Americans would be willing to say. Complex Technocrat says, "Sup, homie." What's up, my man? How's it going, friend? What's happening, bro? Now, there's good things about that. The good qualities of the American government and the American system is how stable it's been for 200 years. Even during the Civil War, all throughout that time period, the American government and systems of government, the systems and machinations of how the government worked, actually was able to hold together and was not really overthrown. No dictator or no tyrant ever really seriously challenged the American, I guess you could say, democratic system, congressional system. There have been times that it has almost happened, of course, but it's never really happened, at least not since the Constitution was put into force. But monarchy has also been very stable, and the truth is that monarchy has been around for much more of a longer time, and it's generally much more of the norm in human history than republics. And it is possible to have a democracy and also have a monarchy as head of state. Complex Technocrat, a monarchy is more honest than the system we have right now. Yes, absolutely. Especially with all of the political gerrymandering and kind of race baiting that both the Democrats and the Republicans engage in. And just the lack of real coherency of trying to deal with, tax fraud of politicians, the tax evasion of the super oligarchic rich, and just really a lot of the corporate control and stuff that runs over America. It's not even really laissez-faire capitalism anyways, so why worry about actually, just saying it's anti-capitalist? It's actually kind of really just halfway between socialism and capitalism in a way anyways, but it just benefits the few instead of the many. So yes, there's a lot of ailments and issues in the American system. It's been stable and it's come out very well through the works, but it's had its shortcomings as well, and it's basically just a two-party state, or a two-party dictatorship. You can either vote for the donkey or you can vote for the elephant, and it's still the same. It's really just basically the same type of two-party dictatorship. But anyways, monarchy has had its faults and its shortcomings, but it's been probably the most stable form of government for most of human history. The Mad Monarchist very eloquently and was able to really deductively, in a logical manner, give these cultural, historical and rational interpretations, and he blended it in very well with Christianity and with biblical justifications for monarchy. He used interpretations from Hobbes and from Plato. It was pretty good stuff. Really, he was just more of a historian, kind of really giving more of a historical interest than really trying to give a philosophical explanation or a moral judgment for why monarchy is better or monarchy is the best. But yeah, his was just really more of kind of a glorification of monarchy as an institution, really more so than anything else. So, and that was kind of his fault. He really didn't explain how or really why monarchy is better. Mad Monarchist really didn't necessarily give the best reasons or the best interpretations for why monarchy could work better. He just gave basically some historical innuendos. He just gave some historical innuendos and like some other stuff, and really his shortcoming was that he just basically he would say, here's a movie, go watch this movie and you'll like monarchy if you watch this. This will get you into the club if you watch this movie. Or here's this book that you can go read, or here's this historical article. And that was really about the best that he could do, if you really think about it. So that was really his kind of his shortfalling, you could say. But he did well with what he had. I mean, it wasn't bad, but it also wasn't the best. But what I liked about him was that he tried his best to not be very political. His understanding and his outlook about the world, he was very much not, racial or nationalist about it. He would talk about the good qualities of Qatar. He would talk about the positive qualities of Burundi and Lesotho, and about Sweden and Norway and Denmark and Spain and Britain and Canada and all of these other monarchy countries. And he would very in a non-biased manner explain about the Holy Roman Empire, the Byzantine Empire, the Russian Empire, the Great Mongolian Khanate, the Chinese dynasties, the Japanese and the Korean states, Islamic Caliphate, the Caliphates, the Ottoman Empire, Italy, Spain, and so on and so forth. But yeah, you know, he wouldn't try to waste your time either. He would get right to the point. He would just give you a line-by-line explanation, you know, dissection of it, and then he would be done. It was a very, his posts or his blogs were very cut and dry, and that was kind of nice. And also, he was very non-biased, or he was very unbiased in his opinions. Those were his strong points. And that's what he was good at doing. He was also very good as well, before I go into his bad, negative qualities. And I'm drinking a Big Red here that I got at the store. He was also very good at talking about the personalities of the monarchs. Talking about like King Edward I, Henry VIII, Napoleon Bonaparte, although Napoleon wasn't really a monarchist per se. He was just an emperor that ran the French state. He'd talk about Alexander the Great, even George Washington, just all these different personalities. He would explain their good qualities as monarchs. He would talk about the bad qualities of presidents and republicans and dictators and how bad they were for the state after the fall of said monarchy. So those were his strengths. Those were his good points. He also talked about the different saints in the Catholic and Orthodox churches too. Alright, so I think that I've done very good now at explaining the good qualities of Mad Monarchist. Now I need to go into the bad stuff, okay? So I have given you a very good detailed description of his good points. So let's go into kind of the bad stuff. So first of all, he was a weeaboo. He never really said that he was a weeaboo, but you could just kind of tell by his very pro-Japanese stance, his very pro-Japanese militaristic stance, that he was a weeaboo. He even at the end, he was really getting into doing a lot of reviews of like these anime shows and stuff. And so I think he kind of got really into that. And I know that he was a weeaboo because I found his Twitter a couple of years after he stopped doing his blog, his historical blog. I found his Twitter and I saw that he was posting a lot of anime. And I knew it was him. I recognized him. He had a different name. He was going by a different name, but he was posting a lot of anime stuff. He was doing, actually, he was doing more anime reviews than anything else. And he would, like, post, like, pictures of little anime girls or cartoon girls and stuff. So it kind of shows that he was really kind of getting into that at this point. But, you know, he was still advocating for monarchy. Nothing had really changed about him. He just became more of a weeb. So maybe back then he wasn't a weeb, but he became a weeb. So that was one of his bad qualities. He became a very big weeaboo, obsessed with anime, really obsessed with these real feminine female protagonist stuff and all of that. Really obsessed and really obsessed with Japanese culture. Not as bad as some others, but kind of really getting into Japanese culture because of his worship of the Japanese imperial system. He also gotten to be a lot less religious. He used to be very religious and very pious in a way, and he kind of lost that over time. I think he also kind of really lost his very strong political outlooks and kind of just became more and more modest, or at least cognizantly deficient in that regard. So he was a very big, Mad Monarchist was a very big weeaboo, I have to say. He also became, really in a way, he became kind of gay. I hate to say. You know, I mean, I know there's a lot of weebs that are straight and all of that, but... And there's also a lot of really strong right-wing weeaboos that are basically, they're called tojo-boos. Yeah, that's it. He became a tojo-boo. Obviously, they're not gay, but a lot of people that are into Japanese culture and the weeaboo stuff, they also tend to eventually get into, like, the furry subculture, the brony subculture, and a lot of that other stuff. And eventually they start coming out with different sexual orientations and like transsexual, bisexual, non-genderly, non-conformist stuff. It's really weird. In fact, there's even people in like the Nazi or the neo-Nazi movement in the alt-right, that are also into that as well. I don't really know any of them. Actually, Cry6, the guy from Bitwave, Cry6 was one of those. But yeah, I mean, he kind of really got a little bit weird, for sure. He started to really get into like weeaboo stuff, weeaboo culture, otaku culture, and kind of the furry. I think he also became a furry too. I'm not for sure, but it's kind of weird. And usually, the people that get into those subcultures, they tend to be very gay. They tend to be very heavily pro-LGBT. So I guess that was the end of the Mad Monarchist. He became very pro-LBGT. Very furry, pro-furry. And by the way, when I talk about pro-LGBT, it's not like how you would think of about LGBT people. I'm not talking about gay pride parades or nothing like that. I'm talking about people that dress up in animal fur costumes and then they walk around in like these real cartoony animal costumes like the Looney Tunes. And it's kind of like those characters in Disneyland, and they will open like, they'll show flags or they'll show like signs and stuff about how they're proud to be open, to be out of the closet. They've embraced gender non-binary norms and stuff. They'll say like they're pro-women and stuff like that. So that's kind of the thing that I could really tell that the Mad Monarchist really went down. This is one of the reasons I don't really talk much about the Mad Monarchist, because I think that he really just, at the end of the day, he ended up embracing a lot of the things that he supposedly rejected in republicanism. He was he was always anti-republican, of course, but at the end of the day, he ultimately just embraced all of the things that came out of American pop culture, like American counterculture and stuff that would only come out of a republic. And he kind of just basically forfeited all of his politics and religion, to satisfy his own personal pleasures and stuff. So that's kind of the dark side about it. That's kind of the dark side of what engaging in this kind of internet political discussion does to you. So anyways, like I said, that's the dark side of what happens when you like kind of become this internet e-celebrity and you engage in like this pseudo-intellectual armchair internet stuff all the time, and you kind of lose having a personal life. You start embracing all of these different subcultures on Reddit. Like, you go to Reddit and you embrace all these different subcultures, and ultimately you end up embracing the very things that you might have politically were against to begin with. It just basically, it goes full circle. You know, oh, you were anti-gay, so you were anti-gay and you were nationalist because you were a monarchist, you were a fascist, or like you were in the alt-right. Oh, well, now you went to Reddit with your friends. You went with your friends to Reddit. You became a weeaboo. Okay, so you've opened up to like the Japanese culture because you think that Japanese culture is superior to American culture or European culture at this point. Oh, now you've embraced anime, so you're a weeaboo. Okay, you're okay with that now. Oh, you're a furry now. Oh, so now you become a furry, so that's okay. That's fine. You're not necessarily gay yet or a gay pedo, but you're a furry. Oops. Uh-oh. Oh, you think it's okay for guys to become women. Oh, now you're gay. Okay, so now you're gay. Oh, now you're a tranny. Well, now you think it's okay to have sex with animals because you're a furry. You're in the furry subculture. Now it's okay to have bestiality, so that's justified. And you're non-binary at this point. So at the end of the day, you go through this loophole, this pseudo-intellectual internet subculture, Reddit subculture loophole, rabbit hole thing, and you end up just basically embracing the cognitive dissonance, and you basically embrace all of the things, all of the very things that you claim that you were against. You know, you might not necessarily be openly far left or pro-SJW, but you might as well be at this point. I mean, yeah, maybe you're a fascist like Catboy Cammy, maybe you're a monarchist, or maybe you're an ultra royalist, sedefacantist, you know, Protestant libertarian or whatever, or a constitutional Republican, but you're also a furry. You're sexually non-binary. You're a weeaboo or a weeb. You're a Pokemon lover. You want to have sex with animals. You want to have sex with little kids. You know, so at the end of the day, you just embrace the very values that your enemy, that you reject in your enemy. You know, you hate what the left is. You hate the left for embracing these values and stuff, and you're politically against them, in part because of that, and because you're an anti-communist. But then at the end of the day, here you are embracing the very things that you're supposed to be against. You know, you're just more to the right in terms of politics, you know, because of your political and religious views and stuff. But other than that, you know, all this degeneracy is now okay because your friends on Reddit engaged in it. They got you into it, and it, you know, that's the same thing. So I would have to say that that was the downfall of the Mad Monarchist. So, and this is really the downfall of a lot of people like that. It's really just a political phase that they go through. It could last for 10 days, or it could last for 10 or 15 years. And at the end of the day, it leads to the very same kind of juxtaposed, heavily cognitive dissident, nihilistic Marxist, cultural Marxist BS. It's just the same thing. You know, look in this corner of the internet. Rudy Coleman is a good example of this. Rudy Coleman claims that politically he's a national socialist and he's anti-communist, but he's a femboy, he's a furry, he's a weeaboo, I mean, he's just embracing all the stuff that Antifa people have embraced. He's just not politically left, but when it comes to everything else, it's basically the same as the far left. So, herein lies the problem about politics and about religion and about really just all this stuff. I've noticed in my time on the internet, I've always noticed this same trend. And it's always in all of these different political fonts, in all of these political Reddit groups and stuff. They all engage in the same sexual deviant acts. Like, they all engage in all the same stuff. They all have, like, the same type of college tuition jobs and stuff. And that's really the crazy thing, too. Like, this is actually, believe it or not, the real crazy thing, too. All of these guys that are Nazis or fascist, Tojo boos, monarchists, and Antifa, far left, and tankies, and commies, and Trotskyites, and anarchists, and yes, capitalist anarchist, communist anarchists, just pure anarchists, even libertarians, all these groups, regardless of politics. They all have been to college. They all have pretty good jobs. Maybe not all of them do, but they're kind of just basically like, they've all gone to college. They all have like the same type of jobs. And they're all like almost all furries and stuff. And they're engaging in the same type of Reddit subcultures. And that's kind of the dark side. And this is the bad thing about the Mad Monarchist. Yes, he was very knowledgeable about history, but he was also a weeaboo. And at the end of the day, he might have like written or typed out hundreds of posts on his blog site talking about how based monarchy is and how based a traditional society is. But does that really justify his engagement in brony in furry and weeaboo culture? No, it doesn't. It doesn't matter if he's a married man and has children. He's still a furry and he's still a weeaboo at the end of the day. And that's really the thing that you have to kind of judge the man on. This is what I like so much about the Southern Israelite. Yeah, the Southern Israelite was a douchebag. Yeah, the Southern Israelite had his faults, he wanted to like try to get you to follow this common law stuff that'll get you into trouble, but he didn't engage in none of this culture, And this is the irony, like the most educated working class people that are very loving of America. They love the Constitution. They love the Bible. They go to church. They have families. They live in the country. They're cowboys and stuff. At the end of the day, they're not really getting into none of this subculture. Their politics are awful. Their religious views are awful. Their mundaneness are bullshit. But at the same time, they're not really getting into all of this Reddit subculture. They don't have the time in their lives to get on the internet, find these Reddit pages, or find these Discord links and websites and go and, make friends there and then, be introduced into like the furry subculture, the weeaboo subculture, or whatever. And it seems like they're actually now, they seem to be actually more based than a lot of these other guys, and that's the weird thing about it. It's like, I'm afraid that we're just going to have to wait until the Western world completely destroys itself. It's got to completely sink into the ocean before any semblance of any solutions can be found. Like, it's as if everything has got to go up into an atomic mushroom, before we can even begin to scratch down about reinventing the wheel. This is how bad it's really got. And you actually think that America is ready for a war with Russia and China? And yeah, I know that the Chinese are very effeminate. Like, the Chinese youth is very effeminate, and they're not really exactly ready to go to war, but still. We're not either, dude. I mean, look at what they're pushing in the American military. Women can do better than men if they are given the proper encouragement, the proper empowerment to do it. Women can be probably better drill sergeants and better 5-star generals than men. Transgender people, transgender women can be very good, if not the best Marines, but at the end of the day, I don't really think that there is any kind of political solutions. Okay, so Complex Technocrat says, mod me up Hammer so I can share links. Okay. What is this? H. Danks Shogun heel turns. I couldn't really catch. Oh, here it is. H. Danks Shogun heel turns on J. Danks 420 by Friend on Odyssey. Why is this not loading up? Anyways, yeah, I want to do more of this. I'm getting really tired about, talking about the same crap that I've talked about for the last several months. The last 4 or 5 months since 2021. Hey, brother,
this message is for JDAX 420. Now listen.
Oh, dude, wait a second. Who was that guy? Joe Rogan? No, it's not Joe Rogan. Who is this guy? This wrestler? Darn. Who was this guy, dude? I forgot his name. I remember this guy, he did something on American Chopper. That was back on the Discovery Channel, or where was that? On Discovery back in the day. I remember American Chopper, and he was on that. Oh, dude, this is funny, dude. H. Dank Shogun heel turns on J. Danks 420.
Hey, brother, this message is for J. Danks 420. Now listen, J. Danks 420. You know I got a lot of love for you, son. I got a lot of love for you, J. Danks 420. We've had a lot of good times together, brother. But there's something I gotta tell you, man. There's something you gotta know. That the Janians gotta stop. Yeah, Janians gotta stop. Now you're probably saying to yourself,
yeah, dude, I'm like JDX 420. How come everybody hates me? I'm like so cool, you know what I mean?
No, brother, no. You know what's cool? Not fucking Janian people just for the lulz, son. Not just Janian people. All matter of factly. Not for...
Oh, by the way, Hulk Hogan, okay. Oh, by the way, friend, you forgot to accuse him about making people pay to have his clips. About people having to pay him to have his clips downloaded. That's kind of dumb, too.
Paywall via replays. Come on, brother. Come on. Now you're probably saying to yourself,
oh, my name's JDX 420. I can, do whatever you want. You're just, crazy, man.
No, I don't know what you mean, brother. I don't know what you mean, because you're the one who's triggered, brother. You're the one who's making these Jenny actions. I'm just reacting to the Jenny actions. And I mean, you're probably saying,
well, you know, I don't really care. You know, you get to his friend, you know, like, and Bob or like all the other people. No,
no, brother. No, my name is literally Friend. You banned a guy named literally Friend. How could you do it, brother? How could you do it? Let me tell you something, J-Dax. You want things to turn around. Do you actually want things to turn around? Do you? Seriously, answer that question, brother. Answer that question in your own mind. And then ask yourself, what the hell are you doing here, son? What the hell are you doing around folks like the Beans? What the hell are you doing around folks like the Brute? What the hell are you doing here anyway? Is this all a game to you? No, you just want interaction, J-Dax 420, because you're a lonely, lonely soul. Well, guess what? You know how you become an unlonely soul? Stop being a fucking Jenny faggot, that's how.
Owned. Oh yeah, it was West Coast Choppers. That's what it was called. Oh yeah, dude. Never mess with the Hogan. You never get in the ring with the Hogan and say that you're a Janny, dude. Because you will be knocked out of the ring in less than 5 seconds. Boom, 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 boom! Knockout for the Jannies. You never go around and mess with the real masters of Bitwave, the real content kings of Bitwave, and try to Janny them. Because your days will be numbered. Okay, so that's coming up. Alright. Awesome. Yeah, that was pretty funny, dude. That was pretty cool how you did that with, what is that sound-altering software called again? It's like, it was made forever ago, and it's completely free, and I can't think of what it's called. But yeah, that was pretty cool that you did that. Is that thumbnail of yours from, like, Dune? From the new Dune series on Netflix or whatever? But I'm kind of getting, like, Dune vibes with your thumbnail, Complex Technocrat. I could be wrong about that. I was thinking Star Wars first, but I was thinking, oh, wait. Burger Boy and Friend and all these guys are big fans of the Dune books. I gotta put that into consideration. Oh well, dude. It just... Thanks, man. I just used the sound a la Tarticians on Final Cut Pro. Oh, okay. Yeah, what was that sound editing software? What was that called? Audacity, that was it. Okay, I thought you were thinking it was Audacity. I was thinking that you used Audacity or something, but... Yeah, I forgot that, you know, 15 years later and video editing software has advanced that much to the point where you can have all the different voice editing stuff from, like, just using, I don't know, Vegas Pro or whatever, Adobe Photoshop or Vegas Pro or whatever like that. Dune's pretty cool. The spice! The spice! We don't talk about the spice around here. It is the most vitalist necessity that holds the empire together. Okay, enough of that. But yeah, dude. Hulk Hogan is a freaking Chad, bro. If there ever was a Chad, Hulk Hogan is the Chad, man. He is the real deal Chad, man. Oh well. I'll talk about the daimyo on another live stream. Dude, I'll do another live stream later and talk about what happened with me and the daimyo, if I have some time. But right now, I just want to kind of keep it simple. Is Jay Danks live right now? Dude, why did he start jannying all of a sudden? Like, why on earth did he start jannying all of a sudden? Well, anyways, so what can we say about the Mad Monarchist here in conclusion? Because I'm probably the only person on all of YouTube that's ever done a live stream talking about the Mad Monarchist. And some of the good and some of also the more negative qualities about the Mad Monarchist. I think that he was really trying hard to be very esoteric in his approach. I detect a lot of esotericism in the Mad Monarchist blog spot. And at the same time, I kind of feel that, you know, he was trying to drive home a lot of fairly good points, at least insofar as republics and monarchies go. But at the same time, you can have very conservative republics and have very liberal monarchies as well. You know, Thailand is far more of a conservative and based monarchy, for example, than, let's say, the Netherlands. So, I mean, there's all sorts of different types of monarchies. And because there's all sorts of different types of cultural monarchies and just different types of monarchical systems, it's really hard, you know, to really give a specific, you know, about a particular monarchical system. But basically, a monarchy is run by a king or a queen or by a dynasty. It's an inheritance. It's an inherited, you know, rule. And nobody else can claim it besides someone that is of the bloodline. You know, and then there is perhaps, in the case if it's a Christian monarchy, there's going to be a church that's going to work in conjunction with the state, that's going to be run by a very closed clergy or system of clergy. And then, you know, if it's not a Christian monarchy, if it's like a Islamic, it's going to be the Amins that are going to help run in conjunction with Islam and the Quran. If it's Buddhist, you know, it's going to fall in the lines of that. You know, if it's Sinicized, you know, it'll work in the, you know, in the loins of that, and so on and so forth. So there's different types of monarchical systems. A European-centric monarchy is going to be completely different from an Islamic or a Hindu monarchy. So there's also a lot of that as well. So there are good points, and again, there's bad points. Mad Monarchist was a weeaboo. He was an outright degenerate. He got into the weeaboo stuff. He got into, probably, I think he got into furrydom. You know, and so in terms of the sexual deviancy and the, I guess you could say the kind of libtarded degeneracy that he embraced in the end, you know, and this happens with so many people. So there's good and there's bad stuff. There's good and bad sides to everything, you know. I think it's good to try and to have a more reactionary and a more conservative and illiberal mindset on things. But yeah. Well, anyways, I want to do more of just these kind of chats. Like, I love doing this. I want to eventually do a stream where I talk about the stuff that I liked and disliked about Southern Israelite, and the stuff that I liked and disliked about other people. But this was a good one, man. Really enjoyed this. Now, I really did not go very much into the Texas aspect of the Mad Monarchist. But he really didn't post that much about Texas. Maybe at a later date I'll talk about the Mad Monarchist interests and connections to Texas and what I agreed and disagreed with about all of that. But I think this is good for now. I'm going to do a live stream again in 10 minutes. And I'm going to talk about the history of cowboys, of the American cowboy, and also the cowardice of the daimyo. So I will see you then. I hope that you enjoyed it, but that is beyond the scope of this stream. So I will see you then. Have a good day.